Oh, yeah, it was cutting in and out there, but you're right there now.
All right. Well, let's get this party started then.
Okay.
All right. So tell me a little bit about what you've been up to recently.
We've just come off tour in England, where the record, our new album, was released last month, and we're just resting up for a couple of days and then going out on an American tour to celebrate the same. The albums are just coming out, came out last week. So the singles are just going to radio and the albums are heading to people, Amazon or whatever. And we're out starting to celebrate that now with every night's album release party, basically.
Called Here We Go Love.
That's correct. Here we go, love.
And we're going to be playing 2 dates in the Bay Area coming up. In September, on the 21st, you're going to be at the Cornerstone Craft in Berkeley. And then November 10th, you're going to be playing with the Selector at the Mezzanine. That's pretty exciting.
Oh, wow. And we'll be playing in Santa Cruz, I think, also at, what's that place called? I like it a lot.
Is this the Catalyst?
No, not the Catalyst. It's a little bit out of town. I'll have to find out the name.
Yeah.
Santa Cruz.
Oh, nice.
Moe's Alley. Yeah, that's it. Moe's Alley.
Got it. That's a good one as well.
There, I like that. We'll be playing there a couple of times. It's worth checking out on our Facebook page, because there's always quite a lot of different shows up in the Bay Area.
Guys are here pretty often.
We are indeed. Yeah, we play Mill Valley, for example. Play at Sweetwater quite a bit. We play in 19 Broadway in that's in Lynn as well, isn't it? Fairfax. So we play quite a lot of different places around the bay.
Continue to play at in San Francisco.
We have been playing quite a lot at Bimbo's, but we've just moved now and noticed the last 2 or 3 times we've played the same place at Independence, and I like it. It sounds really good.
Mm-hmm. And it's very interesting.
They know what they're doing there, and it sounds really good. And they're used to having bands by the looks of it, so they're very gracious, and you get everything you need, and there's no fuss and no bother. And so I noticed we've been heading there quite often.
Ooh, that's something to look forward to. And have you guys played the Mezzanine before?
A long, long time ago, yes. Long, long time ago, just when it opened up. It was more of a club than a concert hall. It's a fantastic looking space. I remember it was the best dressing rooms ever. Because it was like the VIP lounge. You didn't really want to go on stage. You just wanted to sit backstage and VIP, you know.
Yeah, I've been backstage there once, and it was quite, spacious, and the couches were really comfortable. So, no complaints.
I don't know whether it's true. I have reason to believe it is, but a wealthy couple, friends of mine, she insists that their baby was conceived in the restroom there backstage. Which I thought was a bit odd.
Yeah, it's pretty strange, but I've heard stories, so I believe it.
Exactly. It's got that kind of silver, mirrored walls kind of vibe, hasn't it?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean,
San Francisco is famous, isn't it, for all sorts of different types of venues, right from the Warfield or the Sweetwater up in Mill Valley. Got to be one of the best sounding clubs in the world. One of the best sounding PA systems. It's quite a tradition, really, to build on top of, isn't it? And then even things like the Boom Boom Room, I like to play there. That's a fantastic little place. And sometimes it sounds great and sometimes not so great. But it's always a fantastic night out there.
Absolutely. You're buzzing with the devil. So tell us a little bit more about the new album and how does it differentiate from some of your previous releases?
Well, it just carries on from them, as you'd expect, really. It's the same blend of seemingly innocent dance beats with dual-edged political lyrics, with a bit of laughter and a bit of tongue-in-cheek, and it tries to create a heady brew of what our lives are really like, a mixture of happy and sad all at the same time, and a mixture of angry and glad and all of those different feelings all at the same time, expressed in dance by somebody who can't dance very well. That's how I would sum it up. The lyrics carry on from the politics of the first albums, but they're seasoned with 30 years of watching stuff go round. But it's much the same story as it was in the late 70s, and much of the stuff that bothers us now was stuff that came up as issues in the late 70s and 80s and wasn't really dealt with at the time, and it's coming back to haunt everybody now. So it's remarkable. It's like the same stories going on that were going on 40 years ago. All of a sudden, it's the immigrants' fault again, and the idea of nuclear war with either Russia or North Korea is back on the table as feasible, an option, and there's tension all over Europe. It's funny that lots of it's exactly the same as it was, and you can only deduce that the right solutions weren't applied at the time, and so we're still struggling with the same issues now.
Absolutely. It's interesting that you mentioned that. It kind of feels like the Cold War is, part 2 is about to happen. So
it is. I think it probably already is, isn't it? With this, internet wars, which are sort of going on all the time. You just imagine everybody gets on Facebook with a hangover, but now they're doing it for their government.
First for a government.
It gets spiteful, It's been fascinating to see how people could manipulate people's righteous feelings on Facebook and get them wound up and get them to go for more extreme solutions than they would have done left to their own devices. I think that's fascinating to watch how that happens, Some great lessons to learn there about how when we're hot and bothered and passionate, we're easily led. We can be easily led. Sometimes people can put you in a situation where you'll see 5 or 6 things and they all seem to support each other to make you make a leap of faith in your decision making. But those 5 or 6 things are not there by accident. They're there because those are the 5 or 6 things that they've researched about you that would make you change your mind. Think about the children. Okay, then I'll do it. Whatever it is. Everybody has their Room 101, don't they? So I think it's fascinating to watch how even we think with our own free will, how easily it is to manipulate it and just change our opinions slightly. So that it doesn't really make a difference other than when you're talking about millions of people, it can sway the vote a few 100,000 and that's all that's needed. It's very interesting and it gives us pause for thought.
It's a scary time that we're in, but it's a great time to make music.
Well, it's a great time to make music. I don't know if it's a great time to sell music because I'm not sure if anybody buys it anymore. It's like, we think the record's going down very well. I can tell because different songs are being given away by radio stations as their song of the day. I'm like, oh, great. You know, I mean, that's the way it goes now. Song of the day. Yeah, everybody gets to download your song for free and celebrate with you all day. Then you go home and you haven't got paid nothing. It's song of the day.
Right. Goddamn radio stations. Well, luckily we're...
What would you do without them, though, eh? What would you do without them? Well, it works probably because what happens, I think, is people won't buy your album, or more likely, it seems, they come to watch your concert. People hear something on the radio, and they come to the concert. And if they like the concert, then they might buy the album on the way. It seems to be the... But so long as it's your work's being well received and well reviewed, and it's each element of your work, like the album is supporting the next set of concerts, and the concerts are supporting the album, and you're trying to do some swimming and some walking, so you're supporting yourself in your efforts. Then so long as everything's gently moving in the right direction, then I think you can be happy with that. You don't have to look for huge movements in the record market, but just slow, consistent growth.
Have you been to Amoeba Records in Los Angeles?
Say again?
Have you been to Amoeba Music in Los Angeles?
I have indeed.
Yeah,
Not
so
recently.
I went recently, and I think it was a good reminder to know that there's people who actually, you know, still buy music and support it. So
that's right. Yeah. Well, I mean, vinyl's very important again, and second-hand vinyls, particularly important. It's such a changing time. In some ways, it's gone back to the 60s and 70s where things were singles-oriented, and now they're sort of song-oriented. But in a way, it's a bit old-fashioned, me having an album out, although luckily, all 13 of them sounded good enough to be singles. So all sorts of different songs are getting played across the country, which is great. But mostly it seems that it's one or two songs from people coming out of the town. And so we might, now we've broken the ice and we're back in the game, I might just do one or two songs next and bring them out in the new year as a follow-up to this album. So I don't know whether I'm going to wait another 30 years and then bring out 13 songs in a row again.
It's a long time.
It's a long time to wait for.
I might still be here. You never know.
You never know.
Great. So speaking of the Cold War, you guys played at the infamous US Festival back in the early 80s. What do you think of the significance of that? You know, now that music festivals are kind of a thing, whereas back then that was kind of few and far between.
Well, it was the model. It was the model that a lot of them used. But they had to change the model because he made it so that it would break even, which it didn't. But everybody had an amazing time and still tell stories about how fabulous it was. But it wasn't designed to make money. And I think what happened was people saw that, you know, 250,000 people would be interested in coming to something like this. But they quickly turned out ways of turning it so that it would make a profit. So now you couldn't really have something like the US Festival because it cost you $3,000 each to get all the free stuff. I think that's the problem with it. The US Festival was a terrific idea, but only if you were trying to break even. Well, of course, pop promoters and all of that, they want to do way more than break even. So it's now become very expensive business festivals. And I worry about it. Sometimes I find myself on the bill or on a cruise or something, and it's ever such a lot of money to go to this event now. It might even be more money than most of my fans could afford, or certainly more than they'd want to spend just to watch me do myself. So it's a double-edged sword, really, I think. There are a lot of festivals, and some of them are fantastic. Some of them have become a bit grotesque, a bit of a spectacle, as though just the biggest, the largest, the noisiest, the brashest is the way to go. And I don't know if that's the thing to be true. Well, they have a lot of interesting ones in England started off. They're very much more sort of family events, which I'm not sure how much they're not alike either. It's all right, bring the kids, but they don't have to be there all night, you know. But there's areas where there's like daytime concerts and where there's kids artists and things for kids to do. You know, I don't know, paint my face anymore. And people still do that as well. And boys cover themselves in glitter. Rubber boots. It's taken over in England from Christianity, to be honest. Not too much Christianity at all. And it's come back to some pre-Christian, pagan practices of dressing up funny and staggering around drunk in a field to whatever the local folk music is. Now the folk music seems to be Oasis or folk or Blur or something like this. Or, famous music acts. But they have thousands of festivals in England, and it looks like pictures of Stonehenge, people celebrating the solstice. So it's odd, really. The churches are empty. They've mainly been turned into mosques or condominiums at this point. But people have either gone towards pop festivals as an expression of culture, or they've gone to marching in the streets with English flags, to mild Nazi salutes that pretended they're not Nazis, really, they're just nationalists. It's particular poison, really. Now that religion has lost its hold on everybody, you've got nationalism or paganism. That's your choice in England. They're feeling a bit down about it, really. They think, you want to just manage to shake off Christianity. Now we've got Islam to deal with. They're a whole crowd. Another Middle Eastern death cult setting up some pathetic rules on our end. The English have had it for thousands of years. I don't know how they live with it, So, one after the other, all these Middle Eastern, they're all death religions as well. They're all killing each other. They're setting up in our backyard and start rearing up, killing each other. It's dreadful business. Watching some of the English traditions is not much better because it's grown men, massively overweight, drunk, with shorts on. What sort of culture is that? Talking about it's trying to draw a line in the sand, but they can't even stand straight. They were the last people who'd ever get involved in drawing lines in the sand. Put it that way. But, what can you do? All you can do is write songs, sing them, make people dance, and have a wide room at the irony of the situation. We find ourselves in a lot of people thought with the hippie revolution and the punk revolution that we're all so much more clever than our mums and dads, and the world would be sorted. And it's not, is it? It's a mess. It's a rotten mess. Now, in actual fact, it's better than it was, but some of the worst things are much worse. So, on the good side, all women and girls are reading and writing percentage-wise than ever before in the history of the world. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing. And how to resolve the problems, which it used to be. Like journalists now, third or fourth choice. But, so things are generally getting better. But our ability to do each other in has become, has developed faster, I feel. We shall see. I don't know. And, I remain optimistic only because I like the plants and trees always look optimistic to me. They're always full of life and vigor and growth and hopefulness. So I always have hope. But you've got to say we are pushing our luck a little bit. And I do have some fears that my album's just about to go #1 this year, at some point. And I'll get a Grammy. And I'm just about to get like the biggest royalty check I've ever had, and the world's going to blow up. And nobody will know. And I'll be #1 around the world, and nobody will know because it's for the same morning it all blows up. I wake up in the night sweating about that. How horrible would that be? Wait, you don't understand. I'm #1. You know, we've got no time to do the charts at the moment. We're trying to save our kids. Yes, I know, but look, #1. Just normal.
Is it the TV show Black Mirror or The Twilight Zone?
It would be that sort of thing, wouldn't it? Yes. Yeah, it would be just like that. Yeah.
And if people want to find out more about what you're up to, what would be the best site or social media page for them to check out?
Well, it has been the Facebook one. I've been quite active on the English Speak Facebook and Dave Wakeling Facebook. But the last week I haven't been on it much, and I'm not sure why. I've been enjoying doing the garden. I've been doing a lot of gardening. I'm only home for a week or so, a few more days, and then I'm back out on tour for 5 weeks. And this garden's got to be in tip-top shape. So that I can just have somebody with my son come in and nurture it every day. And I have to have it so that everything can more or less cope. You know, everything's fed, pruned, contained, enough to last 4 or 5 weeks, so that really all that's got to be done is watered and take a photograph and send it to me. If anything serious starts to look weird, it looks weird 2 days in a row, send me a photograph on tour, and we can try remedial action. It's very difficult at gardening in Southern California. The good news is everything grows. Everything grows fantastically, but everything needs really varying amounts of water. And if you've got all sorts of different flowers or plants in the same pot, then you can really have a balancing act going on there with how much water. You know. So but it's a challenge, and a challenge that I accept bravely, and it's my second favourite thing to do after the band, which includes doing records, doing concerts, and me talking about it. That's my favourite thing to do. And my second favourite thing is the garden, and it's looking superb at the moment. That's the shame about it. I work very hard on it, just as I'm about to leave. If I've got a few weeks in it, I get kind of lazy and I think, I'll do that later. I'll just sit and look at it. Yeah, I'll do that. But then I think, oh my God, I've got to get this all done because I'm leaving next week. And this will go out of control. So the last week then, I've worked like crazy on the garden, more than I want to really, because I've left it too late. I think when I start that, and it's like 4 hours later. Anyway, it looks beautiful.
Great.
And then you have to leave with them.
And
I sit on a table worrying about it. How's the jasmine arch, you know?
He's one of those cameras.
I should really. Yeah, I had thought about that. So I could enjoy my garden from the seat where I normally sit. I have an outdoor office with some 1950s or 1960s garden furniture that's like office furniture. So my office is a whole mess of plants. It's fantastic. And I do miss it. So that's not a bad idea. I could have a camera on the chair where I normally sit, and I could just look and just check the garden. Great idea.
Well, it was great speaking with you today, Dave, and we look forward to seeing you here in the Bay Area a little bit later this year.
Mm-hmm.
And we wish you, yes, looking forward to it. Cornerstone on September 21st and November 10th at the Mezzanine here in San Francisco.
Fantastic.
Oh.
Well, thank you very much indeed. A lovely interview. Your voice sounds terrific on the radio. It's probably do this as a career, you know. Good choice. Good choice. Very good.
It's a fun hobby. All right.
I like radio, and it becomes more important. I like the way that, you know, video was meant to kill the radio star. Well, that didn't happen, did it? Video killed the radio star. Not.
We're back.
We're back. Radio. I'm glad it's back. And I'm glad I'm on it. Make really well. You got a little bit of laughter, few tears, some limbic joy, little glances of agony. You've got the lot. Here we go, love.
Sounds good. All right. Well, thanks again, Dave.
A pleasure. Thank you.
Okay, have a good one. Take care.
Have a great afternoon. Bye-bye.
You too. Take care. Bye-bye.